Anahata, and that means not hit. Ana is not, hata is hit. What this refers to is the sound that is not made by any two things striking together. Sound of my voice, any sound you hear is made by two things striking together, the voice, the air on the larynx cord. What is the sound that is not made by any two things striking together? It is Om. It is the sound of the energy of the universe of which all things are manifestations. The energy is what underlies all the forms, E equals mc squared. And the sound of that energy is said to be Om. Now, Om can be written in Roman letters either as OM or as AUM. O in Sanskrit is analyzed into A and U. AUM, the four-element syllable. The four elements are A, U, and the silence out of which Om comes and back into which it goes. The Indians will always recognize that ground in silence, in the infinite, in transcendent, in the void. Kali. Om pronounced starts in the back of the mouth, then fills the mouth cavity, oo, and closes at the lips, When properly pronounced, you have made all the noises. And so all words are simply fragments of Om. Just as all the images of the broken forms of the world are fragments of the form of forms, so all words are fragments of Om. Om is the sound of the radiance of God. Om is discussed in the Mandukya Upanishad. There's a very interesting two-page Upanishad, Mandukya, Mandukya, in terms of the four steps, the four stages. A is associated with waking consciousness, the gross bodies of the forms in which we dwell, and of which we are one. Here, I am not you, you are not I, and a duality prevails, an Aristotelian logic. A is not A. Aristotle's logic is the logic of waking consciousness carried right through it. He's not letting anything else break in there. Gross bodies, they are not self-luminous. They have to be illuminated from without. U is of dream. When you dream, you're surprised by your dream, and yet the dream is you. You as subject are surprised by yourself as object. You seem to be two, you and your dream, but you are one. So subject and object, though they seem to be two, are the same. I and you are the same. This is the breakthrough of the metaphysical realization that the two that seem to be separate are really one. And this is the midway point to transcendence, to realizing relationship as identity. Also, the objects of dream are subtle objects, self-radiant, changing form rapidly. Dream, vision, God. The gods and heavens and hells are what might be called the cosmic aspect of dream. And the dream is the personal aspect of myth. Dream and myth are of the same order. They're of the order of U, dream consciousness. And you and your God are one, just as you and your dream are. And your God isn't my God. So don't try to push it on me. Everyone has his own being and consciousness. The third order then is of which is deep, dreamless sleep. Consciousness is there. The heart is ticking. The body will respond to heat and cold and so forth and so forth. But the waking consciousness, the aham consciousness, the ego consciousness, is not in touch with consciousness. It is wiped out by darkness. The goal of yoga is to bring your waking consciousness into that field of awake. And then what it will experience is undifferentiated consciousness. Not the consciousness of anything, but that primary consciousness to which we are trying to yoga, to link our waking consciousness. So that's what we're talking about. Now the deity in the Sanskrit system representative of this is Shiva as the dancer. I spoke of him yesterday, so I won't go through it again. But I will say this, in addition to what I was able to say yesterday. Look at the shape here, and the head, and then look at Om. In other words, while looking at the image of Shiva, you are hearing the syllable Om, the sound of the radiance. Now, in lecturing to Methodists, I tell them about graven images. This is a permanent meditation. It's not idolatry. You're not idolizing this image. It's the radiance. It's the opening of it. Shiva helps you go through Shiva. You don't stop with him. And this is the little dwarf forgetfulness on whom he is dancing. Fascinated by the serpent of the world, ignorant of the fact of this weight on his back, just as we all are. Shiva's right there waiting for us to recognize him.
Goethe says, all things are metaphors. Alles Vergängliche ist nur ein Gleichnis. Everything that's transitory is but a metaphorical reference. That's what we all are. And to see the word, we're getting back to that, your radiance that we spoke of before comes out here again now.
But how does one worship a metaphor, love a metaphor, die for a metaphor?
Well, that's what people are doing all over the place. That's what people are doing all over the place. Dying for metaphors. And when you really realize the sound Om, the sound of the mystery of the word everywhere, then you don't have to go out and die for anything, because it's right there all around. And just sit still and see it and experience it and know it.
Explain Om. This is the first time you've used that.
Well, Om is a word that, what can we say, represents to our ears that sound of the energy of the universe, of which all things are manifestations. And Om, it's a wonderful word. It's written A-U-M. You start in the back of the mouth, ah, and then oo, you fill the mouth, and closes at the mouth. And when you pronounce this properly, all vowel sounds are in that pronunciation. And consonants are regarded simply as interruptions of Om. And all words are thus fragments of Om, as all images are fragments of the form of forms of which all things are just reflections. And so Om is a symbol, a symbolic sound that puts you in touch with that throbbing being that is the universe. And when you hear some of these Tibetan monks that are over here from the Gyuto monastery outside of Lhasa, when they sing the Om, you know what it means, all right. That's the zoom of being in the world. And to be in touch with that and to get the sense of that, that is the peak experience of all. The birth, the coming into being, and the dissolution, the cycle of that. And this is called the four-element syllable. What is the fourth element? Ah, oo, and the silence out of which it comes, and back into which it goes, and which underlies it. Now, my life is the ah, oo, but there is a silence that underlies it, and that is what we would call the immortal. This is the mortal, and that's the immortal, and there wouldn't be this if there weren't that.
The meaning is essentially wordless.
Yes. Well, words are always qualifications and limitations.
And yet, Joe, all we puny human beings are left with is this miserable language, beautiful though it is, that falls short of trying to describe.
That's right. And that's why it's a peak experience to break past all that every now and then, to realize, I think so.